Welcome to the Igniting the CEO Within podcast, where we interview successful, high level professionals to discover lessons they've learned throughout their career that can help ignite that CEO within you. I'm Mark McFatridge, and I'll be your host for the next 15 minutes or so. Our show is sponsored by Quaid, a nationwide community of CEOs and entrepreneurs. Quaid has developed the CEO Peer Advisory Division that can be implemented by CPA firms in 90 days. This peer advisory division will provide CPA firms a new line of business with significant recurring revenues and improved client retention through collective insights of curated client peer groups. If you'd like to learn more, go to quaidcircle.com. On our show today, we have Randy Crabtree. He's the co-founder and partner at Trimera out of Schaumburg, Illinois. Randy, thanks for taking some time and hanging out with me today.
No problem, Mark. I'm glad to be here. I'm looking forward to a fun conversation.
Yeah, it will be. It will be. Hey, look, you've had a really cool career. You get to work with all kinds of business owners and leaders and CEOs. As you start to reflect back on some of the people that you've worked with and talked to and had relationships with, what what do you find as a trait or two that separate the really successful, excellent leaders from some folks who might not be as successful or could use some improvement?
Yeah, so I've learned a lot. I wasn't always great at all this stuff, but I've learned a lot over the years. And the one thing that just keeps coming back over and over is the people that put people first, the people that look at the people they're working with as not an asset, not a job title, but as somebody that is, a human that has ideas, that has, emotions, that has, and so if you can lean into, you know, getting to know the people that you work with on more than a job title level, on a what are their outside of work passions level. That's one of the things. And I guess if I'm going to give you two, and man, I can go on that for about an hour.
Yeah.
Um, if I can give you two, and this ties with it, one way you can do that, one way you can lean into your people is by displaying vulnerable leadership.
Hmm.
And if I had to summarize it, that's probably what I would use as vulnerable leadership. Not being afraid to say I don't know all the answers, not being afraid to say I made a mistake, um, because when you're vulnerable, it opens up so much with everybody else around you. It's you can have, this is my opinion, but you can have
Hmm.
no innovation or creativity if you're out there saying I'm perfect and I do everything right all the time, because you're putting that out there that, okay, no, I can't admit I made a mistake. I can't try something new, because if I screw this up, I'm not going to be like Randy. I'm not going to be like Mark, because look at
Yeah.
them. They don't make any mistakes. So vulnerable leadership, people first, those are two, but man, I can go on with this for like an hour.
Yeah, and maybe we just go ahead and book the next two or three episodes of this, and we'll knock it out. But so I love what you're saying. The interesting thing though is that vulnerability component, especially, is not natural, right?
No.
Especially when you start looking at CEOs and entrepreneurs, and part of their success has been driven by uh, I'm going to say ego, but at a minimum confidence, right? So how do you see that change? How do you wake them up to say, look, man, you don't know everything. Don't pretend to know everything. Be vulnerable. Say you don't know. How do you start to instill that? Because it's not natural.
No, it's definitely not natural. It wasn't natural for me for the longest time. I've been an entrepreneur since I was 16 years old when I started my first business, and I always was, it's on me. I have to do it. I'm in control. And that, for me personally, just led to burnout. It led to
Yeah.
other things as well. And really it was, and I don't want people to get to that point, but that's where I determined I can't do this myself. It is not just on me. And so, just showing people that, I guess I mean, one, I just tell my story all the time, and that's how I motivate others. And this is what happened to me. This is how I did it. And this is how the benefit of this change that I made 10 years ago now, that is what it's done for our business. But I think if you just show one, most business people like, stats, or they like, something that they can lean into. And if you start researching vulnerable leadership, you're going to find a lot of statistics showing the positive impact this has. Your employees are more resilient, they're more innovative and creative, trust levels go way up. Uh, uh, I mean, I can go on and on.
Hmm.
But if you start with that and start, I do a presentation off where I talk about this. I said, okay, I'm going to start telling you some stuff about vulnerable leadership. And I'm going to ask you to trust me right now. But I'm going to back this up with statistics, and we're going to get
Hmm.
to that point. So let's start with this trust level, and I'm a big proponent of that.
Yeah.
I trust everybody I work with too, and I'm not one of these that you have to earn my trust. No, I suppose you can lose it. It doesn't
Yeah.
happen often, but no, don't earn it. Why am I going to go in there with a negative? I want to go in with a positive. And so, if you go out there with these stats and start showing them, and then tell a story or listen to someone else who has led with vulnerability and what that impact has been for the business, I think you can buy in pretty quick.
Yeah. No, I love that. Would you mind sharing your story of what changed 10 years ago for you?
Yeah, it's actually, what year is this right now? 26. All right,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's 12 years ago now, and this was the start of the change for me. In fact, we are 12 years and 11 days from when I had a stroke.
Hmm.
And I can't I can't say for sure that my stroke was work related, but it was, we were on high pressure. We were working hard. We were
Yeah.
building a business. We were growing very fast. And I had a stroke. And when you have a stroke, it's hard not to be vulnerable because you need others at that point in time.
Hmm.
And I knew that. And physically, I recovered fast. Mentally, I I went through this 4+ years of panic attacks and depression and PTSD. Everything that happened to me was going to be another stroke. I'm going to die. All this stuff.
Right.
And and that when I came out of that, I looked at what I did for those 4 years post stroke, that 4.5 years, and I allowed my mind to play tricks on me.
Hmm.
I was completely fine. I recovered fast, but I was telling myself I'm not going to survive. I'm going to have another one. I'm never going to see my kids get married. I'm never going to meet my grandkids. And as you can see behind the sign behind me here, I have met a grandchild.
Uh,
One's came recently. Um, and so that just changed my mindset. And when I came through that, I'm like, okay, I've been telling myself lies, all this time. And not intentionally, it was just, hey, I have to be the one in charge. I have to do all this. It's all on me. I'm the one that's just gonna make or break this business. And when I saw that it wasn't just me, that I had to and I needed to rely on
mhm.
others, and others were so important, and others is what made my business successful or our business successful, that's where I just became so passionate about this. And so, vulnerable leadership is one of my newest things I talk about. People first culture,
Right.
allowing your people to lean into the intersection of their passions and their skills. All kinds of things just changed. It was all mindset. My mindset changed, and I just saw there was a better way to do things. And really, since that occurred, we probably have grown tenfold. We've been
Hmm.
on Inc. magazine's top 5,000 fastest growing privately held businesses in the US for three
Wow.
years. I personally have been named one of the top 100 most influential people in accounting for the last 3 years. And if there's anything out there that I can at least give you some proof, it's the story of our business is proof that this type of leadership makes a difference.
That's really cool. Thank you. Well, thank you for showing vulnerability there. I really appreciate that.
Yep.
When you start to display that within your organization, how do people that are new to the organization, for example, start to respond to that? Because again, you don't typically see it, right? I mean, or
No.
it's not a natural thing, but you're starting to see more and more of it, but it's not widespread. So what's the reaction when people start to see that up front for the first time?
Yeah, so we start little. It's not huge. If someone's new comes in, one of the very first things I do, or my assistant sets up a call. That's one of the leadership traits I've changed. Delegation is become a strength of mine.
Uh-huh.
Um, So my assistant sets up a call with the new person, and we get on a call and we talk about anything but work. I just want to get to know that person. I want to know their hobbies, their passions, what their family is, whatever they feel comfortable sharing. And so I think that first call, and it's not like intentional, like, hey, I need to do this. It's I'm curious. I want to
Yeah.
know this person. This person is amazing, and I want to know everything I can about them. And so I think that's just starts to set the stage of, what the culture is like within this organization. We go further, and I honestly think we're not doing this enough right now. We were doing it more during the pandemic. I think it was a very important then. I think it's as important now. We have to lean into this more. I keep saying this to our leadership team that we need to do this. So hopefully we will. But we are a remote organization. We got about 70 people now. We've always been remote. We have couple offices here and there, but really everybody works remote.
Hmm.
And believe me, you can build a culture in a remote environment.
I agree.
Um, and uh, and so what we do is we have Teams calls, whatever, our business development team, our marketing team, our sales team, whoever, our project management team. At the end of those calls, one individual gets 10 minutes or whatever they need to just talk about themselves, who they are, like that call I do with them.
Yeah.
But it can be a show and tell, it can be a slideshow. They can grab their kids and hold them in front of the camera. They can, you know, have their whatever. Like I have a story on that sign there. I would tell
Uh-huh.
people what that story means on that sign, and they get to do that, and we just get to know. And people can ask them questions, and uh, I'll tell you this on those calls, and this is part of vulnerability, I guess. I've cried more than once hearing stories of
Yeah.
people. I think showing emotion is important. We all have emotions. We try to hide them at work. To me, I think there could be nothing worse than to try to hide your emotions at work. So that just gives you a couple things we do. Um, the new person isn't the first one on camera, someone that's been
Yeah.
there before, and they get used to it, and you don't have to do it. You're not required to do it. I don't think we've had anybody ever decline doing it. And so just little things like that make a difference.
That's really cool. One of my career, main career was in banking, and as I took over as bank CEO, one of the recommendations that a mentor of mine had was when you go to a branch, do not go straight to the branch manager's office, go straight to the teller line.
Mhm.
And I did that, and and did everything that you just said. Of we didn't talk about business, we didn't talk about how many transactions they were doing. I'd give them a fist bump and say, learn about what their hobbies are or whatever, and that just became part of the routine. And it was, and I don't mean that routine. That was a routine activity of mine that
Yep.
was became very powerful when we started building a successful culture. And getting this sounds so idiotic that we're even talking about this, Randy, as a strategy, right? Like,
Uh-huh.
duh. You know, let's find out more about who we're working with and spending 8 hours a day with or more, right?
Right.
Like,
Right.
it's stupid that this is even a conversation.
No, I agree. And I would virtual fist bump you right
There you
now
go.
for that.
I
There you
like it.
go. We
Yep.
got it. No, I agree. It feels common sense to me, but I look back, 30 years ago. Boy, I'm old.
Yeah.
Um, when I had my accounting firm, which I sold in 2006. Um, I think I did it, but not to the level we do it now.
Hmm.
And again, I put everything on my shoulders then. Now I trust others to do things, and I
Yeah.
know they're good at what they're doing. And I can set a vision. I can say here's what I think, and not necessarily my vision's right. I'll be open to anybody else's um, ideas on things. But once you set that vision, once we all agree what that is, let it go. Get out of the way, because
Yeah.
I'll just get in the way. Honestly, I will. And I've
Yeah.
learned that over the years. And so if I get out of the way and let them trust the people, it's going to get done.
And it's way more fun, right? I mean, it's way more fun to watch other people grow personally and professionally because you let them, you know, try and succeed and fail,
Yep.
support them and push them to do more. It's way more fun to me.
Yeah, and just sorry, Mark, but just
You're
to
good.
back that up because you just made me think of something. Um, the other thing is allowing people. I think vulnerable leadership has an impact on this, but allowing people to be open about, uh, this is not the right role for me. I love this organization, but I really love it over here. Is there a way that I can start to veer that direction, or
Yep.
allowing people to just on their own start to veer to a different direction? The right people on the seats or in the seats, the right people on the bus in the right seats, whatever
Yeah,
that
yeah, yeah, yeah,
saying is.
yeah,
I've got multiple stories of people with our organization that have come in as one role and transferred into another role and just blossomed and without that openness to
yeah.
say yes, I love it here, but I don't want to be in this role. That hurts your organization.
I think you and I need to have a podcast of our own where and I think we can call it like duh. Like it's just
I
like
know it is common
it
sense.
is. This is so
Feels like it.
stupid.
Yeah,
Well, man, this has been awesome. Let me ask you. I'm going to ask you technically two more questions, but the first one
sure.
is: if you look back to 21-year-old Randy, what's one
Yep.
thing that you wish he knew then that you've learned over the years?
A lot of things we just talked about here, but
Yeah,
I get this question a lot, and I wouldn't change anything though. Um, and so I wouldn't tell 21-year-old Randy anything. That sounds weird because it could accelerate the path I was on, but it could have changed it in a different direction. And I love where I am right now.
yeah,
So if that would have changed where, me sitting here in this chair talking with you today, if that may not have happened if I had given the 21-year-old Randy advice. Now, if 21-year-old Randy asked me, I would give stuff and all that, and I would hope others would do that. But I don't want to change the path I've gone down. Um, and again, could I have done better? Sure, I could have done better.
yeah,
Do we learn from being perfect? No, we learn from failure. And so I've learned a lot through
yeah.
my failures over the years. So that's, I guess, the way I'd look at that.
That's cool. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to hang out here and share our common sense for everybody to take a look at. I really appreciate you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. This was fun.
Yeah, it was. It was. All right, y'all. We've done it one more time. We found another amazing leader to share his insights and wisdoms and experiences with us. Hopefully, you'll use this on your path to the CEO seat. As we wrap up, just a reminder, Igniting the CEO Within is sponsored by Quaid, a nationwide community of CEOs and entrepreneurs. Quaid has developed the CEO Peer Advisory Division that can be implemented by CPA firms in 90 days or less. This peer advisory division will provide CPA firms a new line of business with significant recurring revenues and improved client retention through collective insights of curated client peer groups. If you'd like to learn more, go to quaidcircle.com. Until next time, keep igniting that CEO within you. I'm Mark McFatridge. Thanks for listening.